Dominated from day one with heavyweights, and I don't mean just random heavyweights. I mean heavyweights that are ranked in the top 25, if not top 15 in the world, and he dominated.
Reports and footage show Jake Paul sparring with top heavyweights. In comparison, Anthony Joshua's previous opponents, such as Alexander Usyk, were established heavyweights who tested his abilities at the elite level. Jake's high-level sparring is designed to simulate that kind of challenge and sharpen his timing, power, and confidence before stepping into the ring.
Paul is being dwarfed by these way bigger heavyweights like Jared Anderson, Frank Sanchez, and Lawrence Okolie. Okolie is like 6'4.5", 6'5", and these guys are like 6'3", 6'4", probably. So now Jake Paul is the one that's smaller. So first of all, I will give credit to Jake Paul. Clearly, he's a person who is taking his career seriously. These are quality sparring. I mean, a real boxer, because people say he's not a real boxer, but a real boxer would be using the same guys in their sparring camp. In fact, I just told you Joshua used Lawrence Okolie. I don't know if he sparred with Anderson or Frank Sanchez, but these are all regular ranked heavyweights. So credit to Jake Paul for that. And, I mean, he's going to need it. Joshua is a different breed to, like, you know, a Mike Perry when it comes to boxing. Different frame, different size. In case you didn't believe me, right? Jake Paul, this is what MVP Promotions posted. So Jake Paul top sparring, right? Heavyweights. And here's some pictures of Joshua with Lawrence Okolie. And again, Joshua, a big dude, but you see Lawrence Okolie, and he probably was cruiserweight back then. I mean, I don't know exactly when this picture was taken, but he's only like an inch shorter than Anthony Joshua. And now, as he's moved up to the full heavyweight, he has filled out more. You see, he looks even bigger than when he was a cruiserweight. Now, I got to research it, but I want to say I thought Lawrence Okolie was injured, but again, I'm not his doctor.
While the heavyweight dropping during the sparring footage created excitement, it also sparked debate online. Many viewers questioned whether the moment truly reflected Jake Paul's power. On X, a user named Tammy fueled the discussion by claiming he paid him off. She said the guy Jake dropped in an interview alluding to it, and that he took a check to take a fake knee, calling it sad. Her comment pushed the conversation in a different direction, as people argued over whether the knockdown was genuine or staged, turning a simple sparring clip into a larger controversy. Another user, Ton Marino, added to the debate, writing, "Is that Greg Hardy? If so, that explains it. Dude's got a magnet for a chin." The remark highlighted the perceived vulnerability of the heavyweight and intensified the discussion about Jake's performance. Fans debated whether the knockdown reflected Jake's true striking power or the durability of his opponent. Soon the clip became a deeper topic of analysis, with people dissecting everything from technique to toughness. Boxing analyst Tony Jeff has observed Jake Paul's journey over the years and acknowledges the significant improvement he has made since his early days. According to Jeff, Jake has developed considerable skill and become a more capable fighter than many expected. However, he stresses that stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua is a challenge far beyond anything Jake has faced. While Paul's development is impressive, the caliber and experience of a world-class heavyweight like Joshua may test his limits both technically and physically. Jeff believes that despite Jake's clear growth, his fight is likely more than he can fully manage, especially against a seasoned champion who spent years competing at the sport's highest level.
8 years old. If you look at history over time, a lot of heavyweights seem to prime as they get older. Now, a problem for Anthony Joshua is his activity. He's only fought twice in 2 years, and one of them, he got knocked out off Daniel Dubois. That was his last fight, and a lot of people say you can only judge a fighter's quality from their last fight. And then the fight before that was a win, but it was a win against Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou, if you know, he was the UFC heavyweight who's not a real boxer, and he only had one fight before that boxing fight, what he lost as well. So that's his activity in boxing. Now, Jake Paul, on the other hand, looking at his box rec, he's had 6 fights since 2023, and one of them was against Mike Tyson. But we all seen what happened in that fight. Mike Tyson was well past his prime. Where Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, is, well, I'm not going to say he's coming into his prime, because he had some great wins earlier on in his career before he lost to Usyk twice. And by the way, when he did lose to Usyk, the last one one was a split decision. It was a pretty close fight. So now this fight is matched, and I just want to look at the tail of the tape. Now, looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got talking about experience and everything else, what comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then, like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. Now, come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pounds versus 252 pounds. We got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had one, where AJ's had 43, but 43 of them are including at the highest level, Olympic level. And yes, he won the Olympic bloody gold medal, if I don't need to remind you. Then the pro record, Jake Paul has had 13 fights, lost one. AJ has had 28 fights, and he's lost 4 with 25 KOs. And the one person that Jake Paul lost to was Tommy Fury. Now, can we compare Tommy Fury with Anthony Joshua? Not at all. It's like night and day. So now I'm going to talk about the rules of this fight, and I'll give you my prediction, which is going to shock a lot of people after this. So, what are the rules? The bout will take place at a heavyweight, obviously. It's going to be 8 3-minute rounds. You might think, well, that's better for Jake Paul, and I'm thinking, not really. It's better for Anthony Joshua because he's just going to go all out.
Renowned trainer Teddy Atlas has also commented on Jake Paul's mindset heading into fight. Atlas notes that Paul displays remarkable self-confidence, and his willingness to take such a high-profile leap shows genuine commitment to advancing his skills. Rather than harming the sport, Atlas believes Jake is bringing creativity and attention to boxing, potentially attracting new audiences. Atlas praises Jake's approach, highlighting that the social media star is using this opportunity to test himself and evolve as a boxer. By stepping up to face a legitimate heavyweight, Jake is signaling both ambition and a desire to grow within the sport qualities Atlas respects despite the risks involved.
Too many mistakes so far. So it got my attention. It got Teddy's attention. He's been growing. He's been growing in the ring. He's been growing outside the ring. He's been growing in confidence. I think that in the Canelo situation, that didn't happen. He was ready to do that. I think if anything else, if nothing else, he's showing you that he truly is believing in himself. And that, he's been a work in progress. He still is. And he's showing you, he's putting his money where his mouth is. Everyone's calling for him to do this, to do that. And, he's always had the advantage with guys that weren't real fighters. They were fighters. They were older fighters. They were MMA fighters. They were this. They were that. They were smaller. They were older. Now he's taking a guy that's bigger, older, but bigger. A real, can't debate if he's a fighter. 2-time heavyweight champ. Coming off. But he's a smart son of a gun. He's a gutsy son of a... I always stood up for him because everyone was saying he was hurting the sport. He wasn't hurting the sport. In some ways, he was bringing interest in a different way to the sport. But and he built something. He was smart. He built something that was creative. That took a mind, it took guts, it took a gamble.
Boxing commentator Pat Brown offers a sobering perspective on the difficulty of Jake Paul's upcoming challenge. Brown stresses that this matchup is unlike anything Paul has faced, describing boxing as a pain business, where the physical and mental toll becomes painfully clear. He implies that Jake's previous opponents did not bring the same intensity or skill level, and that Joshua's experience will demand far more preparation and resilience. Brown emphasizes that Jake is entering an arena where mistakes carry serious consequences, both in performance and in safety. This fight isn't a typical media-driven spectacle. It is a serious contest against a fighter whose entire career has been spent competing at the highest possible level.
That doesn't look like a 6'2" man there. Obviously, AJ's 6'6" and he's a big bloke, but I thought Jake Paul would have been a bit bigger than that, to be fair. Yeah, this is what I mean. It's he's going to realise this is the pain business. Seriously, there's levels to this game, and it's good in a way because it will shut up a lot of people thinking you can just put a pair of boxing gloves on and go to the top. However, I do respect Jake Paul to an extent because he has dedicated his life to it, and you know he's doing it the right way. He's making good money, but I do think he's done a tremendous leap too far here, and this is where you can get hurt big time, especially against AJ. You know, he's been carrying British boxing on his shoulders for many years, and he's punching.
Professional fighter Lamont Roach describes Jake Paul's decision as bold, perhaps even risky, but acknowledges the strategic reasoning behind it. Roach notes that financially the move makes sense and could benefit Paul significantly if handled correctly. He adds that while Jake is stepping into unfamiliar territory against a powerful and highly skilled opponent, he may still have the ability to last a few rounds and make the fight competitive in certain moments. Roach highlights the calculated nature of Jake's decision, suggesting he understands both the risks and potential rewards. The combination of courage and financial foresight makes this fight a noteworthy gamble, one that reflects ambition and a strong understanding of the boxing business.
Excuse me. My first thoughts was this guy's crazy. Not gonna lie. But I get it. Coming from a guy who's not a true traditional boxer, and to be able to have a position where he can fight a former unified world champion, former Olympic gold medalist, and to do it on such a stage where Anthony Joshua was a superstar as well. I mean, like, he sold out the O2, you know, twice.
Absolutely.
I think. So, you know, I think Jake is setting himself up for, you know, a huge spectacle, and which is, you know, kind of smart. If you're going to go big, why not go to the highest, like the highest of the mountain? Why not? And I get it. That's what you call business right there. And I seen a lot of guys calling them out, from like Gabe to, you know, other guys who are
Berlanga.
boxers. Yeah, like guys who actually beat them. But why would he settle for those guys when he could fight Anthony Joshua? So I think that's, you know, I think that's smart. I think that's super smart.
Smart is one thing. What do you think happens in the ring, though, champ?
I think he gets hurt for sure. I think he gets obliterated. Something close to like Francis Ngannou. I think something like that happens, and it's going to be bad for him. But there will be a lot of viewers.